This is another fishing podcast.
The KREJ is what I see. It's got a little more limited uses, I would say, than the finisher. But that being said, it's also just really, really interesting. And so here's Brett McComas with the KREJ. You see immediately that this is not like any other jerkbait you've seen. The bill, instead of pointed downward, is pointing upward. And Brett says, pretty easy to spot what makes this bugger stand out. By the way, KREJ is jerk spelled backwards. So yeah, it's very, very interesting bait. It swims up when you jerk it and sinks backwards on slack line. Designed to excel with forward-facing sonar, the all-new BERKLEY KREJ is a revolutionary hardbait that defies conventional jerk baiting by working its way upwards in the water column thanks to its unique upturned bill construction. There's never, I don't think, ever been a lure that has turned the bill upside down. I could be wrong. Post it in the comments if I'm wrong, but I don't think so. So it's got this upturned bill that brings it up into the water column, and then it falls back, only then to fall backwards towards its target. This new technique in action allows anglers to take advantage of being able to see how a fish is reacting on forward-facing sonar and present a never-before-seen action and level of bait control to get fish to commit, like working the KREJ up and away from fish to better imitate a fleeing bait fish, or by pausing the retrieve to let the KREJ backslide towards the fish to trigger a reaction strike. So, yeah, very, very cool. Like, just the fact that I give BERKLEY a lot of credit for even making a bait, mass producing a bait that is this innovative. And, you know, fishermen can be very, very finicky. We can be very moody, and we can be very, very particular. And a bait like this, when people see it, they might be like, what in the world? I am not going to be fishing that thing. That's a jerk bait that has its, lip busted or something. But the thing is that if this thing, so the other thing too with the KREJ, like the finisher, that's a bait that you wouldn't necessarily need for forward-facing sonar. But the KREJ is a bait that I can't really see using without the use of forward-facing sonar, because that you need to know precisely where the bait is, or where the lure, well, you do need to know where the lure is positioned, but you need to know where the fish that you're targeting is positioned. And it's much more of a precise presentation that you need to make using the KREJ than a finisher. A finisher, is going all over the place. It can trigger. I think it probably triggers fish better in the fact that it's so erratic. It seems like the KREJ is more of a finesse kind of application where you want that thing to keep going back to the fish and just trying to tempt it to bite. And to kind of further illustrate that point, here is a video by BERKLEY detailing the beautifulness, that's not a word, the innovativeness, that might be a word, I'm not sure. Here it is.
It's designed for forward-facing sonar.
It looks like nothing else that I've ever seen.
Now look at, I like that that thing is waddling down.
But as you can see, the bill is flipped backwards. Which brings you to the name. KREJ is jerk spelled backwards. You can get this bait in front of that fish extremely quick, and you can keep it there until they bite. It's weighted really uniquely, so it falls away from you into the fish. You'll pull it towards you, you let it slide back. You pull it towards you and you let it slide back, and you can let the fish see it multiple times.
Instead of it diving down like a jerkbait, it rises up, it goes left and right.
There's a bunch of different ways to work it. I will reel it, twitch it. You can let it do that shimmy fall right back to them, and they can't handle it. It
really is going to change the way that we fish on forward-facing sonar. KREJ fish right there.
Yeah, so that is the KREJ, and kudos to Berkley for really thinking outside the box on this one and having the courage to mass produce this very, very strange lure. It is a very, very strange lure. I think a lot of people are going to fish it wrong and going to be like, nah. But I think this is one of those lures that if you learn how to fish it properly, it could be a really, really great bait in your arsenal. So, I'm not real fond of how this bait looks when you're bringing it up, and they're talking about how you can also fish this on the top. The action of it when you're reeling it up and then as a top water, to me, does not look that great. Now, if you have a fish that's following it and it gets onto the surface of the water and you're working on the surface of the water and that really triggers it, then awesome, But I'm just saying, I'm being really particular here. Just looking at the bait when you're retrieving it or raising your rod tip, that bait to me, it doesn't have the greatest action. Where the action of this bait is when you drop that thing back and you see it just waddling back. Let's watch it again. This thing waddles back as it falls.
It's designed for forward-facing sonar.
It looks like nothing.
I like
else
the way that
I've
thing's
ever seen.
falling. It's
got a real
rolling
similar body to
and
the
waddling.
stomach, but as you can see, the bill is flipped backwards, which brings you to the name. KREJ is jerk spelled backwards. You can get this bait in front of that fish extremely quick, and you can keep it there until they bite. It's weighted really uniquely, so it falls away from you.
That looks
into
great
the
to me.
fish. You'll pull it towards you, you let it slide back. You pull it towards you and you let it slide back, and you can let the fish see it multiple times.
Instead of it diving down like a jerkbait, it rises up, it goes left and right.
See, that doesn't look great to me.
Different ways to work it. I will
Doesn't look
reel
great.
it, switch it. You can let it do that shimmy fall right back to them, and they can't handle it.
It really is going to change the way that we fish on forward-facing sonar. KREJ fish right there.
Come on with it, man. The KREJ. But yeah, I'm being all nitpicky. I think that bait is going to have a real spot. It could be one of those lures that people are like, I can't fish this thing. It's too weird, man. Why? I'm kind of sounding like Bill Clinton there a little bit for some reason. I have no idea where that came from. I'm terrible at impressions, but maybe that's one I could do. So I might try that with my wife tonight. Bill Clinton. Okay, so yeah, the KREJ, awesome lure. All kinds of awesome lures at Berkley's. Lord have mercy. The last 5 years, Berkley has been on fire. The last year, they've been on fire with everything they're putting out. So the KREJ, another just amazing lure. Hopefully people will figure it out how to fish it, and they'll sell a ton of them. I'm a big fan of Berkley, as I've said millions of times before, and I want to try this KREJ out. I probably need to get forward-facing sonar first.